Okay, I'm going to run you through March 2017's paper 2, which is Document Production, Data Manipulation and Presentations, or for you and me, Word, Access and PowerPoint. Okay, so kick off with setting up the evidence document as per usual. So here I've got all of my files. We need M2017 evidence, which is there. I'm going to need to open with the old version of Word. That's not helpful. Both of them are called 2016. Oh, there we go. Okay. So in the header, name, center number, and candidate number, so that these appear on every page of the document. It doesn't specify whether it's left, centered, or right, so it doesn't really matter. So we're going to save this as evidence in this folder. There we go. With your candidate number afterwards as a Word file. Remember, if you save these files as RTFs and you drop some screenshots into them, they get really big really quickly. Okay? So I hit save and we're good to go. Okay. So unusually this time, the first task is preparing a presentation. So we need PowerPoint, and we're going to import using slides from Outline. Here, M2017 form.rtf. There we go. So we've got those three slides. We're going to need to delete this one and set this one as being a title slide. There we go. So create a master slide with your name, center number and candidate number displayed in the top left. So if we go View, Slide Master, we will insert a text box. This is the point at which you start shouting at the screen, saying, no, you've done it wrong, because it's meant to be on this slide instead. So I will take it from that first slide and put it on the parent slide for all of them. The text, the would store to appear in large letters, for example, 36 point right aligned with no text wrapped at the top of the master slide. So here we're going to need to make a little bit of room. So if we take this down, and we'll put a new text box in the would store, 36 point right aligned. There we go. And then a 3 to 4 point wide horizontal line across the full width of the slide below the title, about 2 centimeters from the top. So we'll go Insert, Shapes, drop in a horizontal line. We'll make it a little thicker. 3 to 4 points. There we go. We'll make it black unless it tells us to do anything else, and it doesn't. Move this up a little. There we go. Move that up a little, and then we can move up the title and make this just a bit taller. Now, as per usual, whenever you do this, most of the other slides should be okay, apart from these ones where we've got 2 sections, so you just need to move them down a little bit, and then they should be okay. Move these down a little bit too. You're probably not going to need any of the other styles down here, so we won't bother with them. Okay. Slide numbers. Hello. Don't know how that happened. There we go. So, slide numbers in the center at the bottom of the slide. So, again, back on the master, we're going to delete these boxes because we don't need them. And we will put in a text box. Drop it in just there, and we will go Insert, Slide Number, and put it in the middle. There we go. Just move it up a little bit. That's it. Make the first slide a title slide with the layout of title and subtitle center aligned on the slide, and we've already got that, so I need to leave Slide Master. There we go. Save this presentation to use later. So we'll save it in that folder. That'll do, I think, as a name. Hit save and we'll come back to that in a bit. Okay, so test 3 document. You're going to edit a newsletter about the Wood Store Company's projects using a suitable software package. Load the file woodstore.rtf. There we go. And it's that one. Okay. Set the page size to A4. So page layout, size, A4, and orientation, portrait. Set the top margin to 3.5 centimeters and all other margins to 2 centimeters. So we'll go custom margins, top. I'm in inches at the minute, but what we can do is just type 3.5 cm, bottom 2 cm, left 2 cm, right 2 cm. And we don't need to set a gutter unless we're doing anything with columns, and we can do that in the columns menu later. So we also need to take a screenshot and drop that into the evidence document. So I'll use the snipping tool so you can see it. There we go. Oops. That's it. Copy that. Hit OK there. Open up the evidence document. Oh no, it's already open. There we go. And paste it in there. Now, you might want to trim it down. Strictly speaking, the information that we need is all up here. There's not really much need for the rest of the screenshot, but it's not going to do you any harm. It's just going to mean that your printout is a bit bigger. So I'm going to leave mine the way it is. Okay. So, question 6. Save the newsletter with a new file name. Make sure it's saved in the format of the software that you're using. So I'll save it as newsletter in all caps because they like to shout, and as a Word document. Hit save. There we go. Place in your evidence document a screenshot to show that this file has been saved. Make sure that there is evidence of the file type. Now, we are absolutely fine if you're just going to drop a screenshot of this window in. You can crop it right down and just show that it's a docx file. That's a-okay. I'm just going to take a screenshot of that, copy into my evidence document and paste it underneath evidence 2. Okay. So, in the header of your newsletter, place your name, centre number and candidate number. So in here, that should be left aligned, and then the image, M2017 image.jpg. That's the one. Put that in. God, that's hideous. Okay, that should be on the right. So we're going to go change the text wrapping so it's behind text. We need to resize it so it's 3 centimeters high. Again, if you type in centimeters, it will resize it. There we go. It's really horrible. I've never seen them do something quite so ugly before. Okay. Place in the footer the automated file name and file path and align this to the right. So we'll go align to the right, insert. We can go object. No, we can't. We need field. Where's field? quick parts. It's been a long day. Hit Field, go down to File Name, and tick Add Path to File Name, hit OK. And then we've got the file name down in the bottom right. Make sure that all header and footer items are aligned to the page margins and are displayed on each page. Now, given that this has a margin of 3 centimeters, well, 3.5 centimeters up top, I think the best bet that you have is just aligning it by eye. I've never seen them do anything quite so ugly on one of their documents, but they do like to surprise us. So, okay, so we're on question 8. Create the following paragraph styles. So we're going to need to leave the header, go back onto the main page, and we've got 5 styles to make. So what we can do, we'll just add a few lines up top. I'll type in the name of these styles. WS subtitle, WS subheading, WS body, and WS table. So now I'm going to select each one of these in turn. So I'll do title first, sans serif. So for sans serif we'll use Calibri, just make life easy. It needs to be 36 point in size, right aligned, no enhancement, single line spacing, and space after in points 0, so that's fine. So I will now go save selection as new quick style and call it WS title. Hit OK, and that's good. We can delete it now. So subtitle is going to be sans serif, it's going to be 18 point, it's going to be centered, it's going to be underlined, single line spacing, no space after. So again, save selection as new quick style, WS, subtitle, hit OK, and we can delete it. Subheading is going to be serif. So for that, for some reason, Times New Roman is appearing up top for me. I think for you, Cambria is the one that appears up top. So it really doesn't matter so long as it's a serif font. That should be 16, it should be left aligned, it should be bold and italic, and it should have 12 point spacing afterwards. There we go. Create new style, WS subheading, hit OK. WS body, delete that one now. Should be 12 point serif. So again, I'm going to pick the same serif font that I did before. It should be justified, which is that button there. No enhancement, single line spacing, and 12 point lines spacing after each paragraph. There we go. Save selection as new quick style. That's it, and then WS table should be serif, 12 point, left aligned, single line spacing, no spacing afterwards, which I think it all is. There we go. So save selection as new quick style, WS table. Okay, and we're good to go. So now we can delete those extra lines I put in. So we've got the beginning at the beginning. Place in your evidence document screenshots to show all of the settings for the WS body style only. So we're going to right click on that, choose modify, and then we need the snipping tool back to take a screenshot. That's it. Edit, copy, into the evidence document. Oops, I'm going to leave that window first. And drop it in. Now, whenever you've got a heading for evidence on one page and then your screenshots on the next page, it's a good idea to put a page break in, so just hit Control Enter to move it down. Okay. Okay, so question 9, enter the title. The wood store at the beginning. Apply the title, WS title style. Where's it gone? There it is. From Wood Store. Below the title, add the subtitle. Report by, and add your name. And format it as WS subtitle. Now it does say in the exam paper that that should be in bold, so we'll put it in bold. So that was question 11. Question 12. Oh, apply the style to this subtitle, so we're done. Question 13. After the subtitle text, format the rest of the document in 2 columns of equal width with a 1 centimetre space between them. Now I'm just going to have a really quick look at all of this text that appears. I can't see any other fonts, but I can see some of the stuff is centered. So I'm going to take this, I'm going to select everything apart from the table and hit the clear formatting button. And select everything under the table and hit the clear formatting button. I'm assuming that they're going to make us put the body formatting on there, but for now this just makes life easier. So we'll select all of that text. We'll go to page layout, go to columns, and more columns. We're going to do 2 column layout, and the gap in between should be 1 centimetre. So hit OK. There we go. Apply the WS body style to this text. There we go. Identify all 9 subheadings in the document and apply the WS subheading style to each one. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay. Place the contents of the file M2017 exhibitions.rtf as a table. So we'll open this up. Okay, so we'll take that. We need to copy it from here, and we need to place it immediately after the paragraph which ends some currently planned exhibitions. Now, I spotted that earlier. It's down here at the end. So we'll press enter there, Control V. So, apply the WS table style to the text in the table. To do that, put your mouse over the top left-hand corner so you can select the whole thing. Go WS table, there we go. Merge the cells in the first row. So we've got exhibitions going all the way across. I'll just put a page break in for now so it's easier to handle. There we go. So, make the first row text only, centered and bold. Make sure the words are not split where text is wrapped. So we'll go auto fit to window, it already is. Make sure that all borders and grid lines are displayed when printed. So, all borders, there we go. This is kind of horrible, really. But we can't make it that much better because of the contents of all of the table. So it is what it is. That's 5 marks for that table. Format the Wood Store catalogue table so it matches the formatting of the exhibitions table. So the exhibitions table is the one that we've got here. So the first thing that we're going to do is merge these cells. We're going to select the whole thing and use the WS table layout. We're going to make that bold and centered. And when it comes to making it fit, it's probably not going to. Spell check and proofread the document. Make sure that spacing is consistent. All items placed on the page are within the page margins. Yeah. Well, that certainly isn't. I'm going to go and check the mark scheme, because this doesn't look right to me. So I've checked the mark scheme, and you know when you find yourself thinking, no, it can't be like this, this is horrible. It's exactly like this. The only thing that they've done differently is put the section that begins where to see made items, there it is, on the third page. So if you ever find yourself with a section like this that is obviously linked to the table, don't just move the table down onto the next page, move that whole section. Now, I think I'm right in saying that this is just because this is a March paper. For some reason, they seem to do things very differently to how we do with our session. So this is an example. It's not a particularly good one. So I'm going to pick a different paper, maybe from an April, June session to go through with you. Okay. So I've started it, so I might as well finish it. Save and print your document. Obviously, I'm not going to print it, but I'm definitely going to save it. Make sure that your name, center number, and candidate number appear on every page. No split tables, widows, or orphans. No blank pages. The document and paragraphs are complete. Horrible document, but there we go. Okay, so task 4, database. So I'll minimize this for now. I'll probably get back to it later. So I'm going to open up Access and make a new blank database. I'm going to save it in the same folder. Supposed to import the boards.csv file. I'll call it the wood store. Hit OK. Click create, and the first thing I can do is get rid of this table because I don't need it. So I'm going to go external data. Actually, before I do external data, you're now going to prepare some reports for the company. Measurements are in meters and volume in cubic meters. Prices are per cubic meter. Make sure all currency values are displayed with 2 decimal places. They don't specify a unit of currency. So either dollars or pounds would be fine, or euros if you're feeling fancy. So, using a suitable package, import the file m2017 boards.csv. So, external data, text file. We'll go back into our folder. We want boards.csv. Hit open. We want to import it into the current database. And we can see straight away that we want to delimit it because it's a CSV file. First row contains field names. And again, we can see here we're going to have a couple of fields that we need to set as Boolean. So if we go next, we don't really need to do an awful lot here apart from these 2 Boolean fields. If you don't format these when you import, it will save them as a number, and converting them to yes, no, or Boolean later is really difficult. So you want to do that now rather than later. Okay, so board ID is text, tree ID is text, thickness is numeric, double is fine, width, length, drying is text, 2 Boolean fields, and then a currency field at the end. There we go. Set the board ID field as the primary key. Done. Okay. So that's all looking good from here. We'll keep it the same name. Hit finish. We'll open up that table and have a look. Okay, so you can see that my default currency is dollars. That's fine. You don't really have to go changing that. I am going to have to do some formatting of these fields. So go into design view like I just did. Description or specification. Display as yes or no or checkbox for the 2 Boolean fields. So these right here, we don't want those 2 appearing as -1 or 0. We want them to appear as Either yes or no, or on or off. Those are your two options. That's yes or no, that's checkbox. So I'm going to choose yes/no, and I'm going to do the same thing for this one. Go back in to have a look at my data, and it's formatted fine. Currency of your choice. So it looks like the boards table is pretty much done. Okay, so I'm going to close that table into external data, text file, import the file trees.csv, that's the fella, into a new table, hit OK, delimited, just like the last one, first row contains field names, appropriate data types, so we need to have a look. I mean, there's nothing tricky in there. We need to set tree ID as being the primary key. All of them should be text apart from the last year, which should be long integer. That's fine. So choose my own primary key, tree ID it is. Okay, so we'll finish that one. So we now have two tables, and we've got a third, which is a little bit unusual, but they've started doing it more and more. So locations.csv. So I hit OK. Next. Again, first row contains field names. It looks to me like an awful lot of this is just going to be text fields, including that one right at the end there. Okay, so I'm going to go across right to the end, and I'm going to choose text for that field. Actually, I want to have a look at the CSV file for that. So if I open that up in... Actually, I don't suppose it matters really, does it? Let's do it in Notepad. Okay, so they don't start with zeros, which is unusual for telephone numbers. If you remember when we were talking about data types for phone numbers, this is the exception to the rule when it comes to any kind of number. With telephone number fields in the database, you lose the leading zero if you save it as a number field. You also can't have brackets or dashes like we normally do in telephone numbers, so you almost always save it as text. I'm going to do that even though they got rid of the zero. Stick with what you know. So choose my own primary key, location code is the primary key. There we go. Okay, so we'll finish. And we've got our three tables. Now the next thing that we have to do is drop screenshots into the evidence document showing the field names and data types for each of the three tables. So we'll do this one. Obviously I don't need a screenshot of my whole page, otherwise it's going to be enormous. So I'll just do this. So that's boards. It is quite important, by the way, that when you're putting in the structure of the three tables that the table name is visible. So I'll just move this down onto the next page again so it's nice and easy to see. M2017 boards is the first one. Back into Access, I will close that and do trees. Data view, nice and easy. There we go. Copy that one too. Back into evidence, new line, paste it in. With stuff like this you can make it a little bit smaller so that it will fit a bit nicer than it otherwise would, but don't go making it so small that it doesn't print well. So again, back in here, snipping tool, new. There we go. Okay. So that's my structure of the three tables. I'm going to guess that it's going to tell me to make a relationship now. Minimize that, close it. Actually, no, I'll leave that open for a minute. There we go, create one-to-many relationships as links between the three tables. I'm leaving this open for a reason. I'm hoping you know what that reason is. If you don't, that's okay. It will become clear in a minute. So, let's just have a look and see where these things link. So we can see tree ID appears in the trees table and the boards table. So we're going to go from tree ID to tree ID. It tells us that it must be a one-to-many relationship, so we'll tick the box that says enforce referential integrity, hit OK, and we're good to go. Okay, so location code, again, goes from the locations table to the trees table. Oh, the database engine could not lock the locations table because it's already in use by another person or process. I know I've said it before. I will say it again many, many times. You cannot edit anything to do with a table when that table is open. Okay, so if you see that error message, first off, read the error message. A couple of you have the bad habit of just panicking as soon as an error message comes up. All you've got to do is close it and have another go. So location code to location code, enforce referential integrity, hit create. Now we've got a different error message. Access can't create this relationship and enforce referential integrity. Data in trees violates referential integrity rules. Now, this has started happening quite a lot, and it's happening for one of a couple of different reasons. The first one is that the exam board might have decided to test you a bit and see whether you can take a look at this data set and fix a problem inside it. So, if that's the case, then you need to go and have a look inside your data set and fix a problem. My problem with that is they don't tell you that that is what they're hoping for, that that is what they want. So the alternative reason, which I think is probably more likely, is they made a mistake when they were putting their data set together. Now, either way, this has happened maybe 3 or 4 different times, and I don't want it to cause you problems in the exam. So I'm going to show you how to fix this, okay? So I'm going to make a relationship between locations and trees, but not enforce referential integrity. The reason I'm going to do that is because if I open up either locations or trees, I'm going to save those relationships, and I will open up locations, and then hit the little plus next to each of those location codes. I'm going to assume that something here doesn't fit. And I want to find the thing that doesn't fit. RCF doesn't have any tree IDs in it. Okay, well, SOL doesn't have any tree IDs in it either. So we want to have a look at RCF and SOL, because it could be that in the trees table we have, oh, would you look at that, we have RCP in there that does not, hold on a minute, yeah, we've got RCF in this table, and in the trees table that appears as RCP. Now that to me just looks like a mistake. So let's make our lives a little bit easier. We'll sort the location code from A to Z. Every time RCP appears here, we'll change it to RCF. Or, actually, no, RCF seems to be the issue. So we'll keep all of those as being RCP, and their mistake was not calling this RCP. A really, really bizarre way of doing things. I genuinely don't understand why they choose to do this, but they've done it multiple times. Now, we do have Solihull here, we've got SOL. The fact that none of these have SOL in them shouldn't be a problem now that we've fixed that problem. The problem there was these were all tagged as RCP. They were looking for an RCP in the locations table and couldn't find it. Now, I hate that the exam board does this. Genuinely, I think it's really, really bad exam design. But they've done it before. They will almost definitely do it again. So if you come across that problem, I know it's irritating. I know it's not the kind of thing that you should be spending your time doing in an actual IGCSE exam, but that right there is how to fix it. You take a look in the table that has the primary key that you're looking for. You go have a look in the table that has the foreign key, so the location code. If there are any records that has a foreign key that does not appear in the primary key, you should update that primary key value. So instead of that being RCF, it should be RCP. Okay? Now, before we fix that problem with referential integrity, we're going to need to close these two tables, otherwise it will shout at us. Yes, we want to save the changes, and yes, we want to save the changes. I know the layout has changed, that's okay. Hit yes. Back into Database Tools. This is the point at which I start shouting and throwing things if this doesn't work. Oh, would you look at that, it worked. How nice. Okay, so tree ID in the trees table to the tree ID in the boards table, that's done. Location field in the locations table to the location code field in the trees table, so that's done too. We don't need any kind of link between boards and locations, that's fine. Okay. Place in your evidence document screenshots showing the relationship between the three tables. Well, for that, all we need to do is this. If, by the way, my explanation of solving that problem was tricky or was not completely clear, you always do have a plan B, and that's just to leave off referential integrity here. I think it would be really mean of them to dock a mark from you if you were to do that, seeing as they made a mistake. But they've been mean before, and they will be mean again. Just remember, it's much, much better to lose 1 mark here than it is spend 3/4 of an hour on it and end up costing yourself time later on in the exam. Okay? So, we've done question 23. I've just dropped in my evidence linking the 3 tables. So we're moving on to page 6. Create a data entry form to include all fields from the trees table. So if I close this, yes, I want to save the layout. Select the trees table, go create and form. Well, that was nice and easy. Identify 3 features. Oh no, hang on, I've skipped a bit. Add the following record to the table using your form. Now, I cannot tell you how many times people just start clicking here and start typing. If you do that, it will break your form. Okay? At the moment we're in layout view, we need to be in form view. This is where you can start typing, but obviously you don't want to type on top of this first record. What you need to do is add a new blank record right at the end of our table, and you click this button to do that. Okay? So, tree ID CL1, tree type Cedar of Lebanon, location code SOL 2014. Now that's the first time Solihull, that location code has appeared. So if we did change that when I was fixing the table earlier, that would cause us some problems now. So it's a good job we did. Okay? So we're going to hit save to save that record. We can save the form as, probably a good idea to save it as FRM trees so we can tell the difference. Hit OK. Check your data entry for errors. I think we're OK. Place into your evidence document screenshots showing this data in your form. So again, new screenshot. Take a screenshot of the whole form. We don't need the stuff down the bottom. That's not necessary. But we do need this little tab that shows the form name. Don't forget that. OK, so we'll paste that in there. Done. Identify 3 features that could be added to the form to make it easier to use. Enter your answers onto the slide with the title, Features of Form Design in the presentation you created in Task 2. Well, we knew that that was going to reappear, so we're going to take these and we need to add 3 features. Okay, so when it comes to form design, good form design might include things like adding navigation buttons or a navigation bar to make it easier for the user to navigate between records. I definitely didn't cheat and just look at the mark scheme. Features like drop-down menus, radio buttons, or checklists can help prevent errors being input. Isn't that a good answer? I thought so. Oh. And also things like appropriate styling and sizing of fonts to ensure legibility. Speaking of legibility, this is horrible. We can do with some gaps between those, but unless it tells us to, we should probably keep it formatted the same way it is. Okay, so we've added that. Make 3 appropriate design improvements to your form. Okay, well, I'm going to go into my form. Well, the first thing, and the most obvious thing, and actually something that I ought to have mentioned in my answers, is a self-explanatory title. So, trees table, I'm going to select that and make it a little bigger so that it stands out a little more. We could here add a graphic of a tree. I don't really know how much benefit that would give us, but we could do that if we wanted to. When it comes to our navigation, we can make our lives quite easy by just dropping in a label. We'll make that a little bit bigger too. I'm going to have to make the box bigger. That's it. And then we'll go add some buttons. So the first one on a navigation bar is always go to first. So you can just click, go to first record, and hit finish. Done. Now we'll do go to previous. There we go. Finish. Doesn't really matter where we're placing them at the moment. We can make them fit better in a minute. Go to next. Another button. Go to last. There we go. So if we just align those so they're all in a row, that'll do. I'm going to put a couple more in. I'm going to add under record operations, add new record. That's always a useful one. And drop it just there. And just because I'm having fun, record operations, save and print. That'll do. I'll put a bit of a gap between the first 5 and those 2. Also, do we really need these to be this wide? I don't think we do. Just have a look in... Yeah, no, not really. So I'll go back into design view, I'll take those, and I'll make them a little less wide. There we go. If we have a look at that. That's a bit better. So if we navigate those, let's make sure that everything fits, and it seems to. That's a bit better than it was. Okay. Now, it doesn't specify whether the 3 features that you identify in question 26 have to be the same as the features that you actually update in question 27. It does not tell you whether that has to be the case. It's probably a reasonably good idea for them to match, but I'm not going to bother, because if you have a look at question 28, oh no, sorry, I skipped a bit. We need to put a screenshot showing the improved design of our form into the evidence document. So we'll go, don't forget the navigation bar, there we go, edit, copy, into the evidence document, and drop this in. That'll do. We can make it a bit smaller because that really is a bit too big. Make it a bit smaller still. we make it fit? Yeah, we can. There we go. That's okay. We could probably afford to make that a bit smaller. And maybe make that a bit bigger. Yep, done. Okay. Now, question 28. Evaluate the improvements you have made. Place your evaluation slide with the title Evaluation of my form created in task 2. So we're back here again. Evaluation of my form. Continue evaluation on new slides if you wish. Okay, so improvement 1. I added a user-friendly title to my form to make it easier to understand what it was. That'll do. Improvement 2, I added a navigation bar to make it easier to navigate from record to record. Ugh, I hate this template. And the last one, what did I do? I resized the fields to make them smaller, as they did not need to be as big as they were. Now it's made all of my text smaller. Do I think that's a problem? Not really. Strictly speaking, I would quite like to add some paragraph spacing here, but they haven't told us to. Let's hope that they do a bit later, otherwise we're making a really crappy PowerPoint. Okay, save the presentation with the slides you've created and print the presentation 2 slides to a page. Well, isn't that nice? So, save and print. We're going to print preview. How do you do 2 slides per page? Well, print what? Handouts, 2 slides per page. Easy. That'll do. Make sure that your name, centre number and candidate number are on your slides. They should be right up top anyway. And hit print. Okay. So, number 30. We're back in the database now. Now this looks to me... I'll save that and close it. And I'll minimize this and minimize this. And I don't need my form anymore. Now this, question 30, is where we've got a fairly chunky report question. It's one of those with how many bullet points? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 whole bullet points. So this is going to be one of those where you can tell straight away that it's going to need some of it to be done in the query and some of it will need doing in the report. So the first thing I'm going to do is run through this list. I'm not going to use an orange pen because that won't scan very well. I'll use a purple felt tip, why not? Okay, so shows the fields, when the tree was milled, the name of the location, okay. So we've got field names in that order. All of those are going to be done in the query. Contains a new field calculated at runtime called volume. Again, that'll be in the query. Shows only the records where ready is no and sold is yes. Query. Has all data and labels fully visible. That's report. Landscape. Report. Fits on a single page. Yeah. Report sorts the data into year milled, location, and board ID. Well, because we're sorting on more than one field, we're going to do that in the report. Calculates the total volume. Yeah. More report. Display the value as currency. Actually, this is a fairly straightforward one, really. If I just show you, or try to show you, I can't see my webcam at the minute. That's not desperately helpful. I will put a scan of this up so you can see it. You can see that basically the first 3 bullet points are about the query and then the rest of the bullet points are all about the report. You cannot guarantee that they will do that in that order for you. That right there is making it easier than usual. We should be used to them mixing it up a little bit. I think putting a Q for query and putting an R for report is useful. I think it's a smart move. So I would really strongly recommend that you do that. Okay? So we're going to start out by making the query. So we'll go query wizard, simple query wizard. Yep. So, shows the fields. When the tree was milled. So that, irritatingly, is not in italics, but we can see that it's year milled. Name of the location. So we're going to go into the locations table. There we go. Board ID. So for that we're going to need the boards table. The type of tree. Do we have type? No. We need trees. Really irritating how they mix all of these things up. The thickness. So that's going to be back in boards. Thickness, width, length, ready, sold, and price. In this order. Okay. So having chosen those, we're also going to want to have a good look and make sure that the fields that we're actually running the query on are going to be included here as well. We can add them later, but I like to do it now. So shows only the records where ready is no and sold is yes. So we've got ready there and we've got sold there. So we should be good to go. So next, we'll call this QRY, and then we've got a title for the report later, and it's sold timber in store. So we'll call this QRY sold timber. Okay. We'll go modify the query design and hit finish. Now the first thing that we want to do is show only the records where ready is no and sold is yes. Now you're going to have to fight the temptation to put quotation marks around it because this is a Boolean field. You only put quotations around your text when you're in a text field. So literally just write no for ready and sold yes. Let's go and have a look, make sure we've got a decent number of results. That number of results, we've got 52. That's pretty much what I would expect for this kind of question. You generally get enough results to split over 2 pages. Okay. Now, we're going to need to do the calculated field, and we're going to put that last volume. So, the first thing you do is put the name of the calculated field, so just volume and a colon. I'm going to move across to the right a little bit and make a bit more room so you can see it. So volume, that's thickness multiplied by width multiplied by length. Okay, so if we hit enter, before I do any formatting on that, I'm just going to run it and see whether it works. It looks like it does. Those are the sorts of numbers that you would expect. So here, the contents of this field must be displayed to 3 decimal places. Okay, so now we're going to need the property sheet, which is over here. So we'll choose format, and we want standard. Standard is going to let us put decimal places. We'll choose 3. We will run it, and it's fixed it for us. So that right there is exactly what we need. So at this point, I've now done all 3 things that I can do in the query. So I've got as far as I can get in the query. So I'm going to save it. I'm going to close it and create report wizard. I'm going to take everything across from available fields to selected fields. Obviously, we want all of them. Now, this we generally ignore, but you can see here that this adds some grouping based on how we want to view our data. This only happens with relational databases. So this is basically saying, do you want to view your data from the perspective of the trees table? Well, if we do that, it's going to put those 3 fields from the trees table into a box up top, and it will group them, and it won't look right. So if ever you get this window, if ever you get this view, it's always a good idea to have a look between the 3 options for this, where all of your fields get put in one box. There's no grouping, there's no kind of formatting that's going to throw off your report. This right here is exactly what you want. I'll just show you locations, which will make it look even worse. Those added stepped boxes are not helpful. So we'll go back into boards, we'll use this, next, 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 landscape, keep it as office, hit next, and we'll call this RPT, sold timber. Now if we have a look and preview, well, it's not a million miles off what we want. Obviously we need to do a bit of resizing. So we'll close print preview. We'll have a look in layout view. That tends to be the most useful. Year milled can be a little bit thinner. Location can be a little bit wider. Generally, you're going to want to have a look all the way down your column. Make absolutely certain that the widest value on it fits. And at first, it's going to feel like you're not going to have enough room to do your whole table. I guarantee you that you will. Just keep on resizing. Virtually all of these number-based fields can all be made smaller. So you should always have plenty of room. These Boolean fields take up hardly any room at all. Price, it could be a little bit thinner. And then volume, maybe a little wider. There we go. Okay, now that looks alright to me. But we still have a couple of things that we need to do. The first is here. Access by default creates all of this blank space over here. So if ever you've printed out a report and wondered why you end up getting some blank white pages, this is the reason why. You need to drag that across. Now it won't let you move it any further than that, so we need to take the number of pages over to the left a little, and when we have our margin just there, then that should be the whole report. Now if we have a look in print preview again, it says page 1 of 2, we'll go on to page 2, problem solved, all good, okay? So we'll close print preview, we still have some bits and pieces we need to do. So, we need a title. We need sold timber in store as the title, so we'll delete that. Put that there. Has your name, centre number and candidate number set to appear on each page of the report. It doesn't specify where, so you're probably just as well putting it in the page footer. The page footer is a useful place to put it because it will appear on every single page. Remember, if you put it in report footer, that will only appear right on the final page, and you do not want to do that. That's where you use marks. So, my name. There we go. I think it's a good idea in general to separate your name, candidate number and centre number just using a few spaces. You're not going to get docked any marks if you do it a different way, but I generally think that's a decent way to do it. Okay, so at this point we have another slightly unusual thing. I think the March series papers ask for things that we don't normally see with ours. It's not particularly difficult, but it is quite unusual. So it tells us that we have to calculate the total value of the selected boards by multiplying the price field by the volume. So what we're going to want is to choose the price field, go totals, and add a sum down at the bottom. And now here, something that we've never done before is editing this. So we're going to put sum price multiplied by volume in square brackets. That right there is going to give us exactly the value that we need. We can go and have a look at it. So down here, at the moment it isn't formatted, and obviously we want it to be. So we'll go back into design view. We will choose format, currency, decimal places, 2. Auto should be fine too. We'll have a look. Where are we? There we go. That's it. And we need a label to the left of it. So back in design view, label, value of this stock. Now again, that's very unusual. I would understand the temptation to add in another calculated field over to the right here, but that's not what they need. All they want is for you to take the total value of the price field and multiply it by the total value of the volume field, which is exactly what that little formula does. Okay? So, we have a title, we have this displayed as currency, we have the calculated field, we have our name, center number and candidate number. Save and print your report. So we'll go and check it. We'll make sure everything fits. It does. Page 2. Yeah. That looks fine. So that's ready to print now. Okay. So I'm going to close print preview, hit save and close that report. So, up next, 31. Produce a report from all the data. Now again, we need to decide what of this is going to be a query and what of this is going to be a report. So we'll do Q for the first one. Shows the board ID, tree type, thickness, ready and sold. Displays these fields only with data shown in full in portrait. So that's report, fitted to one page. Only includes boards where the tree type includes the text plain or beech. Well, wherever it says includes the text, we know that's going to be a wildcard. So that's going to be in the query, which are at least 0.05 meters thick. Again, query, which are ready now, query, and which are not yet sold. So we've got 4 criteria to put in our query. Are sorted in ascending order of tree type. Well, that we can do in the report. Counts the number of boards available and places this value at the bottom of the report. That's in the report too, and includes this title. So again, I'll just show you. There we go. Hang on a minute. So we've got about half of them in query view, and then we've got the other half in report view. Okay. So, first thing I'm going to do, create query wizard. Simple query wizard, hit OK. Now, you want to make absolutely certain that you're not working based off your sold timber query. So we're going to have a look at what fields we need. We need board ID, so that's going to be in boards. We'll take that. Tree type. That's going to be in trees. Thickness. That's back in boards. Ready and sold. Okay. Now we also have our 4 criteria. So the first one is tree type, so that's okay, we've got that. Thickness is the next one, ready and sold. So we're fine, we don't need any extra fields. We're okay. We'll call this QRY plain beech, because that's what we're looking for. And modify the query design. So in here, what we want is tree type includes the text. So asterisk, plain, move my mouse, asterisk, or beech, asterisk. So if I just make that a little wider so you can see it, we've got like, plain, or like, beech. So if we run that and have a look, that's how many we have at the moment. We can expect that number to drop as we put more criteria. So at least 0.05 meters thick. So that's going to be greater than or equal to 0.05. Ready. It says here which are ready now. So that's going to be in our Boolean field, yes. And which are not yet sold. So that's going to be no. Okay, so if we have a look at the results of that, you can expect it for your second report, especially when it tells you it has to fit on just one page, that it's not going to be any bigger than that. If you have many more records than that, you're going to struggle to fit them on just one page. So you know you're onto a winner when you've got just that number in general. Okay? So now I'm done with all of the query-based stuff, so I can close this, save it, go create, report wizard, based on QRY plain beech. We'll put all of those in. Next. How do we want to look at it? Well, remember what I said last time. If we're looking at it from the perspective of the trees table, it will try and group them by tree type. That's not what we want. We want all of them in the one box, all of the fields side by side. So hit next. No grouping. Sorting. It needs to be sorted in ascending order of tree type. There we go. Hit next. It should be portrait, I think. Yeah, it should. So portrait, next. Again, don't bother messing with the format. And we'll call this RPT plain beach. We'll go into modify the report's design, hit finish. There we go. Now we can see straight away that sold is going to need to be widened. Board ID, I would imagine, should not be that wide, and tree type should be a little wider, so layout view is what we want. So we'll widen this until everything fits. We'll narrow that. We'll narrow thickness a little. We'll take ready and make it a bit wider because we've got plenty of space to play with. We'll do the same with tree type. Now that right there looks okay to me. Let's check that we're in ascending order of tree type. Well, we've only got 2, so looks okay to me. Yeah, counts the number of boards available and places this value at the bottom of the report. So, what we can do is, we can do a count basically based upon any of these records, but it says the number of boards available, so we can maybe base it on the ready field. Count records or count values. Just count records should be fine. And we will put a label to the left of that. Actually, it doesn't tell us that we should put a label, so maybe we won't. But we will put the title plain, oh no, yeah, plain and beach boards available. It does not tell us anywhere that we should put our name, candidate number and centre number, but we know by now that we really should. So we will put a label, your name, centre number and candidate number. If we have a look, yep, 24 are available. That looks okay to me. Let me just have a very quick look, see whether they've put it in the same place I have. Name and details. I mean, we've got the right count. I don't think it particularly matters where it appears, so I think that's okay. Yeah. Okay, so place in your evidence document a screenshot showing how you calculated the number of boards available. So for that, we need this count. So we'll take a screenshot with the snipping tool. New, there we go. Copy and drop it in to our evidence. There we go. Is that evidence 8? It is. Okay. So we are nearly there. We have just one page and a little bit to get through. 1 hour and 8 minutes in. So if you were working at this kind of speed, you would have plenty of time left at the end of the exam, with it being 2.5 hours. So save and print out your report. Okay, well, obviously I'm not going to print mine, but I'm going to save it. So we'll close that. Now the final thing we have to do is the mail merge. So I'm going to close my database. I'm going to go back into my folder. We need mail.rtf. So I'll open with Word. There we are. As the master letter using orders.csv as the source data. So we'll go into the Mailings tab, select Recipients, use existing list, and we'll go and find it. Now, Documents, there we go. IGCSE ICT. Yep, and we want orders.csv. That's the one. Hit OK. OK. In the master letter, replace date with a field So we are here. We're going to go Insert, Date and Time, and then it tells us that it should be DD MMMMYYYY. Now, strictly speaking, you don't need to know which of these corresponds to that, because what we can do is use the date formatting as we have in the past. The only important thing that you need to remember is you need to tick this little box that says Update Automatically. Otherwise it won't be a field that you can edit. Okay? So hit OK. We'll put that in. We're going to right-click that date and choose Toggle Field Codes. Now you can see straight away that this is a little different to what we want. So instead of it being lowercase d's, we're going to change that to uppercase d's. We're going to put a space, delete that slash. We want 4 uppercase m's and 4 uppercase y's. Okay, so we'll toggle the field codes and we will update that field, and that right there is the right formatting. Okay, so if ever you're in any doubt as to what those date codes mean when it gives you DD MMMM YYYY, all you need to remember is toggle field codes and then just type it in here exactly the way that it's being given to you. Okay, so toggle field codes back. Now, in the master letter, insert relevant merge fields to replace the bits in chevrons. So those are these bits. Now, remember how important it is to make sure that you keep those spaces. If you get rid of those spaces, you lose marks. And it's so incredibly easy. So do not go throwing marks away for having got rid of a space. Okay? Title, first name, surname, address 1, town, and postcode. Now, a couple of people have pointed out that very often you would put commas at the end of those lines. Have they? Well, no. So you shouldn't go correcting that. Leave it exactly the way that they've given it. Okay, so description with the product code. Product code is now ready. Oh, well, we can assume that we're going to be asked to spell check it later, and oh yes, we are. We might as well fix that now. And collection. Collection. There we go. Okay, that your description with the product code is now ready in our workshop for collection or delivery. Yep, insert your name. That'll do. Got a bit space happy there. Okay, so yeah, spell check and proofread the letter. Well, I think we're okay. Even though this Blidworth is not in the dictionary, I wouldn't go correcting anything that appears inside an address. Okay? So, spell check and proofread, save the master letter, display the field codes, and drop a screenshot into your evidence document. So, new screenshot. There we go. That'll do. Copy that. Drop it into our evidence document. Oh, I missed one on the date field. Oops. Yeah. Okay, so I'll go back. Toggle field codes. That's the one that we want. And I will take... Actually, I can drop that in because I think this is the next one. Oh, no, it isn't. Sorry, getting all confused. This is the only screenshot that we need to take. We show the merge fields when we actually print this master document. There we go. So copy this into the evidence document. That right there is absolutely fine for showing how it's formatted. To make it fit, I can just crop this from the bottom a little bit. There we go, that's fine. Okay, back in here, so it says print your master letter with the merge fields displayed. So all you do to do that is literally file print. Hit OK. I'm not going to bother. I am, however, going to save this, and I'm going to keep it with the same name, but save it as a docx file. Hit save. Yes. Okay. Now, merge and print only the letters for customers whose products are ready but not yet delivered. So to do that, we're going to choose Edit Recipient List. We are going to go Filter. We're going to choose Ready equal to Yes. Traditionally, you don't put an R in Ready or in Yes. Oh, it's been a very long day. So Ready is Yes, but Delivered equal to No. Hit OK. You should, in general, have roughly 3 or 4 records. So we'll have 3 or 4 finished merged letters. To merge them, click Finish and Merge. Go Edit Individual Documents. Hit OK. And you can see that we've got 1, 2, 3. So we can go File, Save As, Merged Letters, in the same folder, print those, and then the only other task that we have to do is to make sure that in our evidence document, our name, candidate number, and center number appears on every page, which it does because it's in the header, and then we print it. And then you can go and have a lie down. Okay? Now, I've said it a few times through that little run through. This is a very unusual paper for us. This does not fit the usual mold. We have very different question types. We have slight tweaks made to what they're asking you for, both in the report section of databases, also in the presentation section. And actually the Word document was very different too. But my opinion when it comes to preparing yourself for the IGCSE exams is the greater a variety of practical papers you've had a look at, the more prepared you will be for whatever you end up getting. Every single year there is something new that I haven't seen before, that Mr. Mowbray hasn't seen before, that they just like to throw in there to keep you on your toes, and it could well be something that has come from a different session as opposed to something totally new. So it is always a good idea to practice with as many different paper types as you can. Fundamentally, you're going to learn more by doing so. Okay? So, that is March 2017's paper 2. I'm going to do maybe 1 or 2 more paper 2s, and then I'm going to do probably 3 or 4 paper 3s. And then you should be set for the end of course exams. Okay? Hope that was helpful. Thank you all, and I will see you in class. Okay?